Hi, everybody. This is Pavel with the Next Step Show podcast. Did California just kill its gig economy with the recent Supreme Court decision it had on independent contractors, the classification of independent contractors versus employees? For those of you who do not know, the California in a Supreme Court decision on Dynamax actually um, ruled that Uber and Lyft drivers, those who work for those companies, they can be considered as employees, not independent contractors, the way they are paid. For those who don't understand the difference, let me just explain to you guys. So, if you are an independent contractor, you basically eat what you kill. You drive around, you get paid, and that's who you are. And you're responsible for your own taxes. If you are an employee of a company, then your employer actually deducting your taxes and paying your taxes, and they have to pay you some sort of a minimum wage salary. So there was a long battle about it for a while, and the California Supreme Court actually ruled and said that um, Uber and Lyft drivers are considered to be employees, not independent contractors. That's a big game changer for the industry and for the gig economy in general. And the reason is because those companies would have to pay salary or minimum wage salary to those drivers instead of them, going looking for customers to drive around and getting paid for per ride. Um, Uber is still to show a profit as a company, and they are generating a lot of revenue in California. So, but again, they have a lot of expenses, engineers, drivers, etc. They still have to show the profit. They don't have it. Lyft decided that they are going to stop operating in California. That's a huge ding going to be to the revenue of the company because California is a huge market. It's 38 million population, and a lot of people use Lyft. Also, Uber has a headquarters in San Francisco, so Uber actually would have to be stopping operation. I don't know. I don't know if Uber will stop that, where they'll follow suit with Lyft, but Lyft stopped. So, what does it mean for the industry as a whole? Okay, so at some point, the rideshare company would have to decide if it's going to be actually making sense for them to either start paying minimum wage to drivers for them to basically sit on their butts and to wait for the customer, or they would have to just pick up and leave the state. That's what Tesla did. Speaking of Tesla, did you guys know that Tesla actually broke the record of $2,000 per share today? That's amazing. Okay, Tesla announced that they actually going to Texas. They're opening up their Cybertruck facility in Austin, Texas. So right after Tesla announced it's leaving state of California, going to a more business-friendly state as Texas, their shares went soaring. Okay, they are right now trading at 2,000 some change today. Tremendous growth. They also announced that they're going to be splitting the share in four at the end of August. So just stay tuned for that. But going back to Supreme Court decision of the California court, classifying California drivers as employees, entitling them to sick leave, wage minimums, and a whole host of other job protections. How exactly did we get there? Let's turn back to the clock to September 2019 when California first signed Assembly Bill 5, AB 5, into law. AB 5 codifies California Supreme Court's decision known as Dynamax. In that decision, the court imposed a stricter three-pronged test on employers seeking to classify their workers as independent contractors. So you guys know about it, right? So based on that Dynamax decision, they decided to classify them as employees, and that's just not going to be looking good. That's bad. That's really bad for the business. And let me explain to you, that's going to be very bad for the gig economy, where people getting paid for just doing gigs and not being an employee, because we live in a very litigious society, and we are governed by the law of precedent. So the precedent may be set up that way that other industries may follow suit and may actually decide to have other industries be classified the same way. The closest that we can talk to is real estate industry. So Imagine, my realtor friends, what's going to happen if the law would require brokerages to actually, when they hire agents to work for them, to be classified as employees instead of independent contractors. Let's imagine that for a second. Okay, staying considering the position of the brokerage or the broker owner, I think there's going to be tighter requirements to hire. Right now, brokerages hire anybody with a policy and with a real estate license. Okay, because you get paid, you eat what you kill, and you only get paid when you actually close the deal. When you as a real estate agent, if you are an employee, you are paid certain wages. So brokerages would probably be more selective who they hire, who they're going to pay wages to, and that will ultimately slow down the process. It will slow down the sales. It'll probably slow down the overall progress and overall industry. Okay, and consumer will suffer. And by the way, I think that consumer will suffer as a result of Uber and Lyft, because we're so used to be on this on the go, and we're so used to just go look at a phone, like, I'm going on the phone, I need a ride, I'm going to request a ride, ride's going to come, I don't care who's going to get paid what. However, if a lot of drivers, if let's say the company Uber, let's say Lyft, decides to leave the state, or Uber follows them and leaves the state, well, what's going to happen with those people? Well, they probably have to resort to taxis. Okay, but that's just another example how stupid decisions kill entrepreneurship, kill the dreams, and actually um, creating it's not going to be good for the society as a whole. All right, so that's a mess, guys, and I think that hopefully California people will come to their senses and vote it on the next November for some sort of a proposition to keep Uber and Lyft in the state of California. But moving on, so as I said, Tesla is actually splitting their share. So right now they're trading at 2,000. They're probably going to be trading at 400 if they split the share in five, or 500 if they split it into four. But it's actually going to open up the pool to more investors buying the stock. So that's something to consider, guys. But for those of you who are watching on Facebook Live, I would love to hear your opinion on real estate brokers, how it's going to be affected. The recent decision is going to be affecting real estate agents in the future. Hopefully, right now we're not there to consider that, but it's possibility. And those who are in a gig economy business, I want to know your guys' opinion. What's going to happen? I understand you want to. You probably would. It, some people think it's a good idea for drivers to have some sort of a wage protection, or have some sort of minimum wage protection or benefits, blah blah blah, all this stuff. But is it really best for the society? Is it really best for the uh, population in general? And would that actually reward lazy behavior? If a driver actually sits on his butt waiting for the customer, should he get paid for that? I don't believe so. I also don't believe so that if the driver, some drivers actually just part-time drivers, they work maybe 10 hours a week. Okay, should they get paid for that? Or should they, you know, if let's say Uber or Lyft decides to pay the drivers by hour minimum wage, how is it going to affect the fare? Because at the end of the day, if Uber, let's say they didn't collect a profit yet, they didn't show any profit yet, I think that what they're going to do, they're going to pass the buck to the consumer. So consumer would probably end up paying for Uber drivers' wages. So that ultimately undermines the whole concept of this business model, because drivers would be get paid hourly, and the consumer would be paying for them, because the whole idea of the a ride share application is to pay less than you would pay for a taxi. Okay, so but if the money is passed on to the consumer to pay for the driver's wages, that's pretty much the model's got to be not sustainable, because consumer is not going to be attracted to actually request an Uber driver to come to his house to pick him up. Instead, he can just call the taxi because it's going to be the same rate. All right, makes sense? Makes sense. So we don't want it to happen. And this is, again, one of those interferences where the state is sticking its nose into the private business affairs, and dictating consumer spending and how the business people can actually run their businesses. I hate it. I hate it with vengeance. I don't like it because I see it can have a ripple effect on a lot of things. It can actually have ripple effect on the economy as a whole, because again, it's $9 billion for Uber in the state of California alone. That's a lot of money. And if they pick up and leave, they're going to be leaving this money on the table. And again, company that's still to show the profit is not, is basically going to be in a hole. That's not going to be nice. It's not going to be working for them. So just consider that, guys, and we should probably look at other aspects of this whole gig economy. Gig economy is created as a culture for entrepreneurs or people who are not governed by standards of an employer or strict employer settings, but basically free-spirited people who can actually go out there, make some money for doing what they do on their own time. Let's say you work for an Amazon as an engineer and you would like to make some money on the side by working as a Uber driver, you can just do it on your free time. So it's a gig economy. So that's the beauty of America, and that's what we should be embracing. Instead, by setting up those red tape and for businesses and basically tying the hands of a business, the gig economy is going to evaporate at some point. And it starts today with this Uber Lyft decision by the Supreme Court for the rideshare. Where is it going to stop? Is it going to stop at just rideshare drivers, or is it going to move on to the real estate agents, barbers, other independent contractors? What about the freelancers? How are we going to monitor the freelancers, the photographers who actually work for themselves? What if the next step is going to be that, hey, all of those freelancers would have to register with some sort of a company, and that company would be requiring them to pay the living wages plus benefits and everything. That's going to be the killing of a business, killing of entrepreneurship. And that's what the California court actually demonstrated. So I know some of you may not agree with me, but this I think, is not a good way to do business. And but I hope the CEO of rideshare apps would have to figure out how to pivot from that decision. So I think Lyft, what Lyft did, they say we're going to stop operating in California as of midnight today. That's going to be, people of California are going to feel that. Okay, that's not going to be a great feeling because a lot of people specifically use Lyft and instead of Uber, and if the company's not going to be there, that's people are going to feel it. That's not going to be nice. Anyway, let's look at the Tesla. I mentioned it earlier today that Tesla is over $2,000 per share. Apple is actually a $2 trillion company, $2 trillion US company officially. Okay, what's happening? What's going on? Why is the stock market going up so north? Everything just going up. All the losses that were actually lost due to the pandemic of COVID-19 were recovered. So stock market is doing just tremendously. Okay, what's going on? I think the investors actually realizing that right now we are probably heading into the inflation, and the dollar is losing its value. So that's why it's going up. Or most likely because the U.S. Government put a lot of money into this system. Several trillions of dollars were put into this system, and obviously we can see it right now reflected in the stock market. So I'm not a stock advisor. I'm not going to give you advice what stocks to buy. I'm just an observer. I see what's going on, and give you my commentary on this. But again, this is just a podcast I started to do this week, and I just wanted to actually attract you guys to listen to this and to watch and give you commentary. Also, if you are guys want to be a guest on my podcast, I invite you to contact me. We'll talk, but you have to be interesting. I want to actually create a content that is going to be interesting and engaging. At the same time, um, I'm not going to be doing any advertising. I mean, I may do advertising in the future, but we're not doing anything right now. So if you have a business and you want to promote it, it's not going to be done through this podcast. But if you are a business owner and you would like to discuss certain kinks of your business, sure, I'll be happy to talk to you. But reach out to me and let's discuss and see how we can actually put you on my podcast and talk about you. All right. Anyway, guys, I'm just gonna wrap it up. And again, this is Pavel Stepanov, and this is the Next Step Show.